Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone, especially my lecturer, Dr. Zairi. Okay, today my group will present the topic that has been given. Okay, our group choose topic primary sources of Hukm Syara. Okay, they have 4 primary sources. The first one is Al-Quran, the second one is Sunnah, Qiyas, Ijma, and the last one is Qiyas. Okay, we start with the first point. There is the definition of Al-Quran. Okay, Al-Quran can be given in several meanings, such as the first one is Al-Quran in word, in Arabic, that was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad SAW through the intercession of the angel of Jibril. It became a miracle to the Prophet and was transferred to his people in mutawatir and is considered worship when reading it. The point about the type of content. Okay, the content of the verse in the Al-Quran can be generally divided by 2. Okay, the first one is verse muhkamat and the other one is verse mutasyabihat. The verse of muhkamat are verses that are clear and clear in the meaning. Okay, as you can understand, people can be easily understand. That means verse muhkamat can be easily understood what Al-Quran want to say. Okay, for example is a word of Allah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, wa ahallallahu al-bay' wa harrama al-riba. Surah Al-Baqarah verse 275. The meaning is, through Allah has permit trading and forbade usury. So here you can understand that the sentence is clear and clear in its meaning. You know that Allah halal buying and selling, and Allah haram when they have riba in buying and selling. So you know that haram when you put riba. Okay, for the second point is verse mutasyabihat. Verse mutasyabihat contain several meaning and it cannot be determined what's the real meaning, except when you researching in depth and you can get what's the real meaning. Okay, for example, the word of Allah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, aw ya'fu alladhi biyadihi uqdatun nikah. Okay, the meaning, Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 237. The meaning is, 1. The party who hold the marriage bond forgive him, does not demand it. Okay, for the second meaning is mutasyabihat, which only Allah know the true meaning. Okay, only Allah, not any human can elaborate what's the meaning in Al-Quran. Okay, for the example, the word of Allah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alif Lam Mim, Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 1. So the meaning is Alif Lam Mim. Okay, for the opinion of scholars, reading the verse mutasyabihat according to the second meaning, there are 2 opinions. Okay, the first one is, some scholars think it can be interpreted, and the other one is, according to other opinion, cannot do charity and cannot be imitated. The third point, the type of law in the Quran. Okay, here you can divide into 3. The first one is law related to faith. So the law related to the main thing about religion. which is to believe to God, angel and messenger. For the second point is law related to practice. Okay, that is the law related to the act of mukallaf in the form of speech, deed, contract and others that are discussed in Usul Fiqh and produce the law of Fiqh. Okay, the last point is law related to morality. Law and rules related to morality, which is to tell people to be noble and to stay away from reprehensible trait. Okay, the next point is the agreement of Al-Quran. Okay, every Muslim knows that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he solved every problem and question referring to Allah and Al-Quran. So you have to know that the position and role of the Quran in law is the first source in the determination of the law. Therefore, the Quran is also a revelation that contains teaching and guidance to mankind. As Allah said, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Inna hazal Qur'ana yahdi lillati hiya aqwam wa yubashshirul mu'minin allazina ya'maluna as-salihati anna lahum ajran kabira. Okay, surah Al-Isra ayat 9. The meaning is, verily this Quran give guidance to the right path Islam and give glad tidings to the believers who do good deeds, and they will have a great reward. For the last point is what the special of Al-Quran. Al-Quran, among the special feature of the Quran is, okay, they have many special about the Quran, such as the high of Quranic language in terms of author and literature, which includes all aspects of life and various type of law. Okay, the second one is announce the event that will occur. The next, tell the past event and the stories of the previous ummah. Accurate and slow things that are consistent with theory and practice. The law of the Quran and its content should be implemented at all times, regardless of place, race and situation. And the last one is, the last but not least, the principle of the Quran implement law for the benefit of human life, such as justice, respect for the oppressed and the return of right to the oppressed, as well as the return right from the oppressor. So you know that as a Muslim, you have to make sure that Al-Quran will be the first opinion, the first sources for you to guide in everything, like for the law, for the human life. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. My name is Azurah Diana binti Hanafi, and my metric number is 266529. And today I would like to discuss about one of the primary sources of Hukm Syara, which is Al-Sunnah. Al-Sunnah can be defined linguistically and terminologically. Linguistically defined, during pre-Islamic time, Al-Sunnah was used to mean methodically can be in two states, either good or bad. Al-Sunnah was also acquired from the word sanad, which is from Arabic for road or a path. And terminologically defined, the definition of Sunnah in the area of Sharia, firstly, whatever are the traditions and practices such as said, did, or permitted others to do of the Prophet. As an example, of a hadith where the Prophet said they deal with the different rulings in different contexts. The reward of deeds depends on intentions. Hadith al-Bukhari and Muslim. Another examples are his actions do include the act of worships, such as the way to perform prayer and the rules of conduct for fasting, and others. Secondly, the term of Sunnah is also used to refer as the Islamic set of ruling that is based on a legal evidence, whether from the Quran, the Prophet's Hadith, or ijtihad, which is independent juristic reasoning by the companions, such as the compilation of the Quran in one book and unifying the reading of the Quran on one reading narration. And next, we shall move on to the types of as-sunnah. Types of as-sunnah can be divided into three, which is sunnah qawliyah, sunnah fiqliyah, and sunnah takririyah. Verbal sunnah, or the sunnah by word, which is sunnah qawliyah. Sunnah which is in the form of the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, of instructions, prohibitions, and descriptions, either as a hadith itself or as an explanations in the Quran, which is mutlaq and mujmal. For example, the hadith narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet said, "Innama a'malu binniyat." The reward of deeds depends upon the intentions. Secondly, practical or actual sunnah, which is sunnah fiqliyah. Sunnah as in every deeds, behaviors, and actions of the Prophet which uphold the Hukm. For example, a hadith narrated by Malik bin al-Huwayrith radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet said, "Wasallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli," and offer your prayers in the way you saw me offering my prayer. Lastly, sunnah takririyah. Takrir is the Prophet, peace be upon him, silence himself, where he didn't show approval or disapproval on the word or deed of companion that happened in front of him or during his time of living. Okay, that's all from me for today. Thank you for your time. Ma'assalamah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Muhammad Asrizat bin Hashim. My metric number 260057. For my part, I will explain about the ijma' and the definition of ijma' in terms of language means result an agreement or unanimity. So we proceed to the terminology. According to the term ijma', ulama can be given with several meaning, namely the consensus of mujtahid, scholar from the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad after the death of the Prophet Muhammad in matter related to Islamic law. The pillar of ijma' have 5 pillars, which is the first, there must be some mujtahid at the time of the event, and the mujtahid are the one who make the agreement which is set the law of the event. And if there are not a few mujtahid at the time of an event, of course there will be no ijma', because the ijma' must be done by some people. And we proceed to the next is second pillars. Those who make the agreement should be all mujtahid in the Islamic world. If the agreement is only done by the mujtahid who are in one place only, the such agreement cannot be said to be an ijma'. So the next is the agreement should be clearly stated by each mujtahid that he agree with other mujtahid about the law, means Syara, of an event that occurred at the time. Never implement in the agreement the element of coercion, or the mujtahid expected to a situation so that he must accept a decision. So the 4 pillar, the agreement can be made in various ways, such as by oral statement, by deed, or by an attitude stating that he agreed to legal decisions that has been approved by other mujtahid. Of course, the best decision is the decision as a result of a deliberation made by the mujtahid. And lastly, the pillar, which is the agreement should be unanimous agreement from all mujtahid. If there is an agreement by most of the existing mujtahid, then such a decision is not curtailed to the level of ijma. Such consensus has not yet been used as a Sharia agreement. So that's all for the pillar. We proceed to the example of consensus of ijma. There are no example of consensus at the time of the Prophet. Blessing and peace of Allah been upon him, because as we explained above, consensus can only be valid after the date of the prophets. Al-Amidi said, the consensus of those who live at the time of relevant does not consistent proof or evident at the time of relevation. According to scholarly consensus, rather it only constitutes proof or evidence after the date of the Prophet. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ashraf bin Ahmad. My metric number is 260712. We continue our journey on understanding the primary source in Islamic law. You know that there are 4 primary sources in Islamic law: Quran, Hadith, Ijma' and Qiyas. So now, let's focus our discussion on Qiyas, which is in English can be translated as analogy. We will start from the definition of Qiyas. Okay, when it comes to the linguistic meaning of the Qiyas, it means measuring or weight. So linguistically, it just means measuring something. It could be the length, weight, or quality, or anything like that. When it comes to the juristic meaning or how the fuqaha has defined a qiyas, so Qadi al-Baydawi has defined al-qiyas as establishing the law of one thing on another thing because it shares the two on the effective cause of law. So we can understand with technically it means applying a case whose rule is not found in the text to a case whose rule is found in the text on the basis common reason. So qiyas is a use when we are unable to find something clearly in Quran or Hadith or Ijma'. Let's take out of example. Okay, Quran clearly mentioned that al-khamru is haram, which specifically in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu innamal khamru wal maisir wal ansab wal azlam rijsum min amali syaitan fajtanibuhu la'allakum tuflihun. The declaration al-khamru is haram on the basis of intoxication. So this prohibition is clearly mentioned in the Quran. Now we have new situation, that is heroin. So that is permissible or not? If you try looking in Quran, Hadith and Ijma', we are unable to find any Sharia ruling regarding to heroin. So what you going to do? We are going to find something that has similar to her heroin mentioned in Quran or Hadith or Ijma'. So we found that Allah declared al-khamru is haram on the basis of intoxication. So we find the same reason, intoxication, in the use of heroin. So we are going to do the qiyas. We are going to put the Islamic law from the original case on the new things. Actually, qiyas, they have 4 pillars or 4 components. And number 1, original case, which is clearly mentioned in Quran or Hadith or Ijma', is called al-aslu in Arabic. For example, in this situation is Allah clearly mentioned Al-Khamru is haram in Surah Al-Ma'idah. And number 2, the new thing, situation, which is not mentioned clearly in Quran or Hadith or Ijma' is called Al-Furu' in Arabic. So in this situation is heroin because it's not clearly mentioned in Quran or Hadith or Ijma'. Number 3, A'illah, common reason between the two. Like in the case of Al-Khamru and heroin, the common reason cause that was intoxication. Number 4 is the law of Islamic ruling. For example, Al-Khamru is haram by Al-Quran directly. After doing qiyas, heroin also declaring to be haram. I hope this video beneficial for you regarding to this topic for primary source in Islamic law. Jazakumullahu khairan kathir for watching.